Was good, y'all? As you guys are seeing this video, in just 2 short hours, the negotiation part of free agency opens up for all players, so teams can talk to guys, they can make like handshake deals, but they can't officially sign. Before any deals are even talked about, I wanted to go here and go through each individual team and talk about their dream free agent signings. Some teams are a little different than others, considering cap space and different things like that, if they need to re-sign or sign a new guy, whatever it is. But in this video, I'm going through each individual one, so you will see your favorite team on here who I think you guys should sign. And before we get into it, make sure you guys leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the other videos throughout this offseason. Throughout the regular season, I'll be breaking down different teams and players and stuff like that. Lots of content coming your way, so hit that subscribe button so you don't miss it out. We're going to start by talking about the Celtics, who are both above the tax and the first apron, but are still underneath that second apron. And since they don't have too much money to work with, in this situation, their dream signing is Georges Niang. Even though Grant Williams is a restricted free agent for the Celtics this offseason, he's probably going to be asking for more money than what Georges Niang would ask for. So in this case, I think they could kind of just cut their losses a little bit, get down on money, and slot Georges Niang into that rotation of wings that they have plenty of. He is a great catch-and-shoot option, one of the best in the league at that. He also can play some defense. He can play the 3. He can play the 4. You know, Boston likes to run a whole bunch of different lineups with a lot of flexibility and switchability. He can do that. I think he's a perfect cheap fit for the Boston Celtics. Next up, we have my favorite team, the New York Knicks, who are under the tax and under both aprons. And in this situation, my dream signing for them is Trey Lyles. I will say the most important signing of this offseason is Josh Hart. But I'm pretty sure that's like a given, basically. He's either going to accept his player option or get the extension, one or the other. So I thought it would be a cop-out answer to kind of go with that. And it just announced that Josh Hart did opt in. So shout out to you, Josh. So I'm going with Trey Lyles. The Knicks need a backup power forward that can shoot the ball. Right now we have Obi Toppin just shooting a bunch of threes a game. It's not his game right there. Trey Lyles, though, great three-point shooter. That allows the Knicks to move on from Obi Toppin, who's up for an extension next offseason. Also, there's rumors about us signing Dante DiVincenzo. I'm a little about that. I don't know exactly how to feel. But in this situation, we're signing Trey Lyles, and I hope that's what happens. Next up, we have the 76ers, who are under the tax and both aprons as of right now. But majority of this is because James Harden is not signed yet. If the dream signing of James Harden does happen, they will more than likely be over the tax. They could probably figure it out so they could be under the first apron, but they will definitely be under the second. Well, this is interesting. I'm going to put this right after you're watching the 76ers James Harden thing. As I'm recording, this just popped up on my phone. James Harden opting into his player option, but he's getting traded from Philly. I have no idea what that means for Philly. I mean, I'm not going to change my pick because I have no idea what they're going to trade James Harden for in this sign and trade or where he's going to go or anything like that. But damn, that's some crazy stuff. When we're talking about the Raptors, with Fred VanVleet out the door, they have a decent amount of money to spend here. And in this situation, their dream signing is Jakob Poeltl. Jakob recently came out and said that he wanted to play for a contender or a winning team, however he worded it. Basically saying if the Raptors are going into a rebuild and blowing it up, he has no parts of it. He does not want to be on that. And that would suck for the Raptors considering they just traded their first round pick this season for him, which would be only a half a season if he leaves. Before he came over, they had no true center, and now with him being here, he fits exactly what they need. He rebounds the ball, he blocks shots and defends the rim, and then he can run a pick and roll, got nice touch, different things like that. He's exactly what they need, and hopefully they get to re-sign him. I'm also going to sneak in just another guy right here, D'Angelo Russell. I think it would be really, really interesting for him to go to Toronto and run their point guard. Like I said, they're out of Fred VanVleet, who is leaving in free agency. So having him come in to run the offense, he likes to shoot threes, a lot like Fred VanVleet, but he also has a little bit of the playmaking. He can get to the rim more often than Freddie. So I think that would be a cool fit. And rounding out the Atlantic Division, we're here talking about the Nets, who are also under the cap and both aprons. In this situation, they get a little bit more guard depth and get Dennis Schroeder. The Nets did extend the qualifying offer on Cam Johnson, so I expect a decent amount of their money to go towards them. But if they could pick up Dennis Schroeder on a cheaper contract, he gives them more depth at the guard. Like I said, he could play either point guard or shooting guard, which the Nets are lacking in both of them. They just have a bunch of wings on that team right now. But I think the Nets can benefit greatly from having a guard like Dennis Schroeder on the team. He brings great playmaking, great defense. His shooting's a little streaky. Sometimes he's on, sometimes he's off. But either way, he impacts the game, and I think he would be a great signing for the Nets. Moving on to the Central Division, starting off with the Bucks here. They have a load of money, but that's because they are losing two key guys right here, free agency. And in this situation, their dream signing is getting back Chris Middleton. Similar to the James Harden situation I was talking about with Philly, Chris Middleton is arguably a top 3 free agent in this class right now. It is proven that him and Giannis as a duo can win you a championship. Just a few seasons ago, they did it. They need to re-sign him back. There's no way that they can fill his production with the free agents that are in this class right now. And like I said with Joel, the same thing goes with Giannis. If you lose his running mate for nothing in free agency, I could really see them getting very pissed off at that. That could lead you down the road of requesting a trade and different things like that. And where it gets really interesting for the Bucks is they also have Brook Lopez as a free agent, who's on the older side, so you don't want to give him a bunch of money right there. But also, he was a Defensive Player of the Year candidate this season. Two really, really big free agents for the Bucks. I don't know how they're going to plan that out, but Chris Middleton is a must re-sign. Here we got the Bulls, who just gave Nikola Vucevic a $60 million 3-year extension, so shout out to him getting his money. They're still under the cap a decent amount, and I chose their dream signing as Jalen McDaniels. Even though the Bulls have a decent amount of money right there, I would assume majority of it's going to re-signing Ayo Dosunmu and Kobe White. I doubt that they let either of those guys walk. And with Jalen McDaniels, it gives them more depth at that wing position. I feel like a lot of times they run kind of small ball with DeMar DeRozan at that power forward. Maybe they got Patrick Williams out there, but now they can run Patrick Williams and Jalen McDaniels. Then they got Zach LaVine and stuff like that. Just get more length on the court. Now with the Pistons, things get a little interesting because they are actually under the floor of the cap, which means that they have to spend at least $50 million this offseason. And I think that they should go after Kyle Kuzma. So for those of you who don't know, Kyle Kuzma is actually from Flint, Michigan. So it makes sense, you know, kind of like a little homecoming. They can maybe bring him in with that. I know Kuz, he's probably a big market, you know, West Coast, East Coast type of guy. But I think the Detroit Pistons, with the amount of money they offer, they can give him, you know, the most money out of any team realistically. Again, it is a homecoming for him. I think they can maybe persuade him to come back to Detroit. And then in the basketball sense, it gives them more of a scoring punch from that wing position. Can maybe make it a little bit easier for Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham. You know, let them more focus on playmaking and just let Kyle just get the offense run through him and different things like that. The Indiana Pacers have a similar situation with the Detroit Pistons where they're actually underneath the floor of the cap. So they have to spend $36 million this offseason. And in this situation, their dream signing is Jeremy Grant. He is a kind of just Swiss Army knife, do-it-all type of power forward for them. They have been lacking a power forward for a while now, so having him slide into that starting lineup can really change the dynamic of this team. He could be one of their main scoring options. He could guard the best player that they're versing. Make things easier for Tyrese Halliburton, Benedict Mathurin too. He's got that veteran leadership as well. I think he'd be pretty good. Also, I think Kyle Kuzma fits in the Pacers too. I just doubt he would go to a place like Indiana, as I was just talking about. He seems more of like a coast, big market type of guy, or his hometown of Detroit. I don't really see him coming to Indiana, but it would be good for them. For the Cavaliers, their dream signing is Patrick Beverley. As you just saw, they do have a decent amount of money underneath the tax, but they got a lot of young guys that are going to need some extensions soon. I assume they're going to try to bring back Karis LeVert on a smaller contract. So I didn't want to get like a big name guy right here. Patrick Beverley, I think, could fit in as a nice value piece to get some more guard depth for them. In the playoff against the Knicks, when they were having struggles guarding Jalen Brunson, they had like guys like Chetty Osman guarding him and stuff like that. They need more guard depth, especially defense at the guard position, and that is exactly what Pat Bev is. He also brings that intensity too, so maybe he can help elevate a certain other guys, you know, in the playoffs when it comes down to it. I think he fits in really nice with the Cavs. The Hornets are another one of those teams that have a decent amount of money, and in this situation, they're just re-signing PJ Washington. Well, I guess I shouldn't say just re-signing PJ Washington. I also kind of have looped into this re-signing Miles Bridges, who will be back this season in the NBA. But PJ Washington had a career year. I know there was a lot of injuries, so he had a lot more usage rate or whatever. But he still had a great year. I think they should bring him back to be their starting power forward. And then also Miles Bridges can come back into that starting lineup, get a healthy LaMelo, and they could be back on track to making a push for the playoffs, push for the play-in, just advancing their team. The Hawks made that John Collins trade to open up some money for them. I don't know if they're going to be making more trades or what they're going to do for this. But in this situation right now, I have their dream signing as Max Strus. I feel like the Hawks were lacking a lot of consistent three-point shooting, and Max Strus is that. He is a consistent three-point shooter. I also think he doesn't get enough credit on the defensive side of the ball. I think he is a decent defender, above average defender, in my opinion. So I think he can help him on both sides of the court, help open up the floor for Trae Young and DeJounte Murray, and just be a knockdown shooter for them. The Heat are one of the most expensive teams in the NBA right now. As you see, they're over both the tax and the first apron and just barely under that second apron. So in this, we had to go budget for them and got Wenyen Gabriel. Wenyen Gabriel can give them some really good, cheap power forward minutes. Before Kevin Love joined their team, they had Jimmy Butler running power forward, and that was it. So Wenyen Gabriel can come in here and just be energy. That's exactly what he is. That fits the Heat culture to a T, where he's going to play defense. He's going to go after the hard balls. He's going to just do the little things for them. He can run some small ball center too, because I would rather see anyone on the court other than Cody Zeller when Bam is not playing. So he could just do a little bit of everything for the Heat. I think he would be perfect for them as a cheap option. The Magic are another one of those teams that are under the floor of the cap. They have to spend $22 million this offseason, and I think they should go after Harrison Barnes. The Magic are one of the youngest teams in the NBA, so I think bringing in a vet like Harrison Barnes can do them a lot. Also, they don't have too much depth at the wing position. You know, they have obviously their starters of Paolo and Franz. And then beyond that, I don't really love anything that they have. So bringing in HB right there, he can run the 4, run the 3. Again, bring that veteran presence, 3-and-D type of guy. I think he fits in pretty well with the Orlando Magic. And finishing up the Eastern Conference with the Washington Wizards, and I have their dream signing as Mason Plumlee. With the Wizards losing Porzingis to the Celtics in that trade, they really have no center behind Daniel Gafford. I mean, they have Taj Gibson, but I don't even know if he's going to be playing in the NBA next season. So bringing in a guy like Mason Plumlee could really work out a lot to help add to their depth. And then also, he's pretty good offensively. We've seen with the Hornets how he could be like kind of a hub on a bad team on the offense, you know, with his playmaking, with his scoring, and different things like that. So on a team where you got guys like Jordan Poole and Tyus Jones running their offense for the first time in their careers, when you have a guy like Mason Plumlee, you can kick it down to him and let him kind of cook a little bit when they're having struggle games. Starting off the Western Conference with the Los Angeles Lakers, and as I was just about to start recording, they declined Malik Beasley's team option and waived Mo Bamba to open up a lot more money. As you see here, $64.8 million under the tax right now. So I decided to add 2 guys for them as their dream signings, Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura. Both Austin and Rui are on the younger side for the Lakers, both being 25 years old. And they both were very important in the Lakers' playoff push to make it to the Western Conference Finals. I think it is very important that the Lakers re-sign both of them. You know, they're both used to the LeBron James system. You know, we've heard that a lot of players have to work around LeBron James, you know, how he likes to play, different things like that. Both of these guys at their young age have already experienced doing that, so I think it's important that they could just bring them back. And I don't know if this is a hot take or not. I think the Lakers need to re-sign Rui Hachimura over Austin Reeves. Again, I think that probably is a hot take to a lot of you guys. That's just my opinion, though. He was incredible in the playoffs for the Lakers. Having that efficient scoring off your bench cannot be understated. Now moving across the locker room for the Clippers, they are the only team that is above the second apron right now. They are the most expensive team in the NBA, so they don't get to sign anyone. Their dream signing is to get off cap. So in case you guys didn't know, with all this apron talk and stuff like that, it is in their new CBA deal where they set different marks of different amounts of money. If you're over that, you get these penalties, this. I'm not going to list it out exactly. It shouldn't be too hard, though, to look up an article or on Twitter or different things like that to know the exact. But since the Clippers are above this second apron right now, it would really mess up a lot of their team building going forward. Good news for Clipper fans, though. They already started to work their way down with waiving Eric Gordon this morning as I'm recording this. They also are trying to get Marcus Morris off their team, who's making a decent amount of money. So they're working their way slowly. They just got to keep that up. Funnily enough, another one of the most expensive teams, the Warriors, is next up, and their dream signing is retaining Draymond Green. Since they are so strapped for cash, it is going to be very difficult to find someone to replace Draymond Green with the amount of money they have. They have nothing. They can't really pay much. Regardless, even if they had enough money, it's very hard to replace what Draymond does for the Warriors. We have seen plenty time and time again with all these championships they won. Draymond Green is a vital piece to their success, so it only makes sense they bring him back and try to get one more ring. Next up, we have the Kings, who have the most money out of the contending teams, and their dream signing is Kyle Kuzma. Last season, the Kings had one of the most explosive offenses in NBA history, And in this offseason, they're doubling down on that, getting Kyle Kuzma, who is known for his offense. But he also is an underrated rebounder, underrated defender. He's already won a championship, so he knows what to take. He can kind of, he's at that point where he's more of a vet now. He can take that leadership role and kind of lead them away into how to win a championship. I think he fits this Sacramento Kings team perfectly. Another expensive team is the Phoenix Suns. They are over the first apron right here. So their dream signing is keeping one of their most important role players, Torrey Craig. I think Torrey Craig is the perfect fifth starter to run next to KD, D-Book, Bradley Beal, and DeAndre Ayton. I think he slots in there really, really nice. He's got good size, great 3-and-D guy, played very, very well against the Clippers in this playoff specifically. And who knows, maybe they can get him for a little bit of a discount since, he's re-signing. He doesn't have to sell his home, rent a new one, buy a new one, whatever it is. Maybe they can get him on a little bit of a homer price. Who knows? Here we have the Portland Trail Blazers with their dream signing of Jeremy Grant. There's been so many different Dame rumors. It feels like every day there's a new Dame quote or a new statement from the Portland Trail Blazers or this or that. It's pretty tiring. Obviously, they want to keep Dame. I don't really know why. I would have traded him and just started the rebuild. You got a good core right there. Get all those pieces. Neither here nor there. If they do not re-sign Jeremy Grant, Dame is probably out the door. So they're going to want to do that. They're going to want to keep him happy. And then, I don't know, I guess run it back and compete for a play-in spot. I don't really get it. For the Nuggets, I have them bringing back Bruce Brown. Mike Malone said it himself, Bruce, you ain't leaving. And they're hoping he doesn't. Kind of similar to the Torrey Craig stuff I was talking about with the Phoenix Suns. Bruce Brown is just a perfect fit for this team. He's shown it last season that he comes off that bench, fills whatever need they need him to do in that game, and he does it to perfection. He's got the combination of the homer pick where he was there last season, so hopefully he could stay there. And then also on top of that, he can kind of maybe go the Bobby Portis route of taking a little bit of a discount because it's proven that they need you here. You fit like that perfect puzzle piece. You won the championship, different things like that. And hopefully he can come back. I doubt it. I think he's probably going to get his bag. But again, dream signings right here for the Nuggets. With the OKC Thunder being $15 million under the salary cap floor, they need to spend that money. And I think they should spend it on Jackson Hayes. This is one of my favorite picks out of this video personally. All last season, their biggest hole on this team was their size. They had no real power forward. They had no real center. Now they're getting Chet back. They bring in Jackson Hayes. He can run either power forward or center, backup center behind Chet. He can help their biggest needs of rebounding with his 6'11 frame, blocking shots, super athletic and stuff like that. I think he would fit in perfectly. Still on the younger side, so he can kind of help grow with this core. I think it's a match made in heaven for the Thunder. Next up, we have the Timberwolves and their dream signing of Seth Curry. I think Seth can come to Minnesota and immediately make a big impact off their bench. Brings a lot of shooting, elite level shooting from the three-point line, which they don't have too much of. He can also create his own shot and be a little spark plug six-man off their bench. I think he would fit perfectly next to Anthony Edwards. Next up, the Utah Jazz, who are also under their cap, signing Fred VanVleet to run their point guard position. After they traded Mike Conley at the deadline, they had Talen Horton-Tucker running point guard. And don't get me wrong, he was doing his thing. But if you want to take that next step and trading for John Collins, it seems like the Jazz want to take that next step. You're going to need an actual point guard, and that's what Freddie comes in here and does. He might be a little too expensive for them, but again, these are dream free agent signings. Hopefully Freddie can see that he's very important, a piece to them winning right there, comes along, fits in like that, and runs his offense around Laurie, around John Collins, Walker Kessler down there too, he could throw lobs to. I think he would be able to fit in nice. And what do you know, at back-to-back Fred VanVleet dream signings, this time with the Spurs, and they are much more under the cap of the Jazz, $33 million, so they would be able to throw that bag at him a lot more. I think having a veteran point guard on this Spurs team can do wonders for their players' development. Guys like Victor Wembanyama, Jeremy Sohan, Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, all those guys. Having a point guard that can set them up in different spots and just, get them open looks and things like that can benefit them a lot as young players gaining confidence. And they got the money. They might as well throw a bag at Fred. Now with these reports coming out, this is really awkward. The Rockets, James Harden as their dream free agent signing. While I was recording this video, it was announced that he opted into his player option and is going to get traded from Philly. I doubt Houston trades for him, and I doubt Philadelphia accepts whatever trade package they offer. So we're going to just quickly pivot to, you guessed it, Fred VanVleet, 3 in a row. It's been rumored that they're going to give him like $40 million a year this season anyway. So we'll just toss him in as their dream signing. For the Mavericks, this was a very, very easy one. Their dream signing is keeping Kyrie Irving. They already gutted what little depth they had last season at the trade deadline to gain Kyrie Irving. And kind of like I was talking about with Jakob Poeltl, it would look very, very stupid if he just walked and you only had him for half a season, and you tanked for part of that too. There's no one in free agency that will fill the void of Kyrie Irving next to Luka, and like I said with Joel, like I said with Giannis, whenever your main star loses his second guy, that could just lead down a very bad path of him requesting a trade. You don't want that, so you gotta keep Kyrie Irving. For the Pelicans, even though they have money to spend in free agency, I would assume they want to stay under the tax, so I'm going with a cheap guy, Alex Len. If we're being honest, all the Pelicans really need is a healthy Zion Williamson. Will that happen? Who knows? But Alex Len gives them some insurance for their front court. Right now, their backup center is Larry Nance as a small ball guy. When Zion's out, you might want to use some of those Larry Nance minutes at power forward. If Valanciunas, God forbid, he gets hurt, you don't really have a true backup center. So I think Alex Len can come in here, give them some good minutes, be their backup big, and call it a day. And last but definitely not least, the Memphis Grizzlies. I have their dream signing as Bruce Brown. With Dillon Brooks not coming back under any circumstances, they have a gaping hole, pause, at the small forward position, and Bruce Brown can come in and fill it, pause again, my fault. We've seen them making a point to improve their defense by trading for Marcus Smart. Bruce Brown is a great defender, as we just saw throughout this whole playoff run. He's a good shooter, secondary playmaker even for them as well. Just, again, Swiss Army knife, do-it-all guy. I think he would be incredible for the Grizzlies. And that is every team and their dream free agency, in my opinion. Let me know down in the comments what you thought about your favorite team, who you want your team to sign. Once majority of the guys are signed to their new teams, I will be making a video grading the best, the worst, all these different things. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on that. In the description, there's links to all my social medias, so make sure you follow me on all those to keep up to date with me. Catch y'all.